Easy. Good afternoon or good evening, sir. How are you?
Oh, can you see me? Are you well?
You need to put your camera just a little, your monitor. I can just see the top part of you. More
Okay,
of the
and now?
ceiling. Just a little
Oh,
more.
more?
Yeah. Perfect.
Okay, is that all right?
Yeah, it's perfect.
Otherwise, how are you? You well, ma'am?
Yes, I am. I am. So we'll see you today and tomorrow. Okay, Bronwyn is working. I see mine is the same. Okay.
Yes.
By
Okay,
here. I must
now I
check
can.
by here now, you see.
No,
Right.
okay, I can see you better now. Listen here, I got that email for the processing of the claims, eh?
Yeah.
You know the August claims.
Yes.
Okay, thanks
I
for
see.
that.
Yeah, it's working, this new system, but also because we fall less now.
Okay,
So what I do now is I copy the COD and finance when the claim is loaded.
okay, no,
But I
okay.
think it's working because you know what? We fall less. I don't know if they will answer all those emails if when we when it's full again. But it's nice to have established it now because they will follow what I'm sending because
Okay.
we there's a method now, so it's working. Even in the first semester, I mean now last semester, it worked.
Okay, no, okay, that's all good then. Okay,
Okay.
tell me, when I was sharing now, did you see that?
Your
This,
presentation, yes.
yeah. Okay, no, okay, that's good. Because Bronwyn did manage that when I actually show my slides that they can't see it. Can I just test it with you quickly, man?
No, I could see it now. It was there right now.
Yeah.
I
Okay. No,
tested.
but yeah, but when I go into my other slides, it's a bit of a problem. Um,
Okay, yes,
uh,
we can test.
okay. Can you
No,
see
I can see
something
it.
now?
I can see it clearly.
Okay. And the next one?
It must go to the next one still. I still see the first one. Did you move it?
Yeah, I'm on page 2 now. Can you see something?
No, I still see page one.
Okay. Is that page 1 called the accounting cycle?
Yes.
Okay. So now I moved on to page 2. Nothing, eh?
Uh-uh.
Okay. I think it's got to do with when I do the presentation, then when I click onto like to start from the beginning, that it actually
There's
stops there.
page two now.
Yes. So, okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm not going to like show the slideshow because it looks as if the slideshow does not show. So I will rather just like go. Can you see page 3?
Yes.
Okay.
Accounting cycle transactions.
Yes. Okay. Now I think I'm just going to keep it like that. But thank you for that. Then I know I can't use the other one. Okay.
I'm going to go, but I'll post the attendance again. Um,
Yes.
and the feedback
Okay. All good.
and
Thank you, man.
the link here for the My Eunice support. Bronwyn is on tomorrow. I
Yeah.
I we're taking turns for the Saturdays.
No. Okay. It's fine. But I can see Bronwyn now. Hi, Bronwyn. You well?
Yeah, she can't
No, I'm all good. How are you?
she can't
Okay.
leave you alone.
No. Okay. It's fine. No, I'm well. And
Okay, I
you?
see your students are there.
Yeah. No. Okay. Let us stop talking. Let us just wait
Yeah,
for that
I
now.
started your recording as well, so you all
Okay.
good. You ready to
Okay.
go? Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Bye.
Can I just confirm, please, Ethan, if you can hear me? Are we still breaking up?
No.
Okay, all clear?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Good evening, students. It is 6 o'clock. Let us get going with today's lecture. Just before we get going, just a few formalities, please. Right, I'm just checking here. It looks as if everybody is okay now in terms of the sound and so on. Just a reminder, first of all, just to mute your mic. And if you want to ask a question at any time, just unmute and then you can ask your question, or you can put it in the chat and then I will respond to that. And then also that this is a repeat of the lecture that was scheduled for last week, Saturday. And then just a reminder that our lecture for tomorrow is still on. So we've got one tonight and then one tomorrow at 11 o'clock. We hope that we are not going to have any interferences again, but I'm sure everything will be okay. Just as far as your notes is concerned, remember you had to download your notes, and it will be quite helpful if you've got your notes already printed, and then we are going to work from there. In lecture number 1, we discussed a lot of the accounting theory and the accounting concepts, and we also focused on the accounting equation, account debited, account credited, and all of that, and the solution to the questions I have posted. So if you go on to session 1, you will see that the solution is also there. And then later on tonight or early tomorrow morning, I will then also post the solution to session 2. So today we are focusing on session 2, and we are firstly going to go over to the presentation of the PowerPoint slides, and let us first work through that before we are going to engage with the notes then for tonight. But in our discussion tonight, we are firstly going to have a look at what we call the accounting cycle. Now, when we speak about the accounting cycle, this is all, it is the normal routine that all the accountants must follow in the day-to-day operations of recording transactions into the books of the business. So your accounting cycle starts off with transactions. That is your number 1. From your transactions, you need to understand that all your transactions, there must be documents associated with each of your transactions. You use then your documents to complete your subsidiary journals, which is step number 3. After you have completed the subsidiary journals, you will post that information to the ledgers. At the end of the month, you balance your ledgers and you prepare a trial balance. The following step after your trial balance is to complete your financial statements. The next step, step number 7, is that you must analyze your financial statements. And then you must inform your bosses on what is the situation in the financial statements of the business. And you will then give that information over to your supervisors or owners of the business for decision making. In FAC1502, the accounting cycle, we focus on transactions and the documents and the journals, and we do the ledgers and the trial balance, and we stop with the financial statements. So in FAC1502, we are only dealing with the first 6 steps in your accounting cycle. Now let us discuss each of these steps individually. Step number 1 in your accounting cycle is that you will get transactions. And once again, you get lots and lots of different kinds of transactions. Sometimes you receive money, other times you pay out money. You can pay expenses. It could be that a trade receivable is paying you an amount of money and you are receiving that. You can also receive money from sales or from services rendered. So in the accounting environment, there are lots and lots of different kinds of transactions. However, all of these transactions must be recorded on source documents. There must be a document for each type of transaction. For example, if the business are receiving money, we must issue a receipt. If we are making a payment, the source document for payments would be your check counterfoils. If we are buying something on credit, whether it is merchandise or we're buying equipment or we're buying a vehicle on credit, we must receive an invoice. So for every transaction, there must be a source document. The next step in your accounting cycle is that your source documents must now be grouped together, filed together, and from your source documents, you will now complete your various subsidiary journals. There are lots and lots of different kinds of journals. The cash receipts journal, you get the cash payments journal, the sales journal, sales return, purchases journal, purchases return, and your general journal, as well as your petty cash. Important to understand for you that there is a link between a transaction and a document and a journal. To explain that to you, if the business are receiving money, that is the transaction. The document issued will be a receipt, and the journal associated with that is the cash receipts journal. The same applies whenever we are buying merchandise on credit. The transaction is the business buys merchandise on credit. The document associated with that is the invoice, and that entry will be recorded in your purchases journal. So you must be able to see the link between a transaction and then a document and the journal, because for every document, for every transaction, there must be a document. The documents are grouped together, and from the documents, you will complete your subsidiary journals. Please refer also back to the week 1's notes, where I've given you a table indicating the link between transaction, document, and then the journal. Our next step in our accounting cycle, after your journals, is that you must now do your ledgers. Now, we get 3 different kinds of ledgers. We get the general ledger as such, and the general ledger is where we get our T accounts that we worked with also in session 1. Now, when we speak about the general ledger, there are lots and lots of different ledger accounts, but remember, all of those ledger accounts can only be divided into the 5 different kinds of, or 5 different groups of ledger accounts. You get assets accounts, you get equity accounts, you get liability accounts, you get income account, and you get expense accounts. So in FAC 1502, the focus is just on the general ledger. We remember posting is done on what we call the double entry system. When you work with the ledgers, for every transaction, there are 2 accounts involved. One must be debited, the other one must be credited, and that is the double entry system that we apply. Besides the general ledger, we also get the debtors ledger and the creditors ledger, or trade receivables ledger and the trade payables ledger. So in your trade receivables ledger, remember this is now a ledger where we are going to work and have individual ledger accounts for each of our customers. Okay, and the same apply to our trade payables ledger. In that ledger, we will have an account for each of our suppliers, each of our trade payables. That is the creditors ledger. The debtors and the creditors ledger are also sometimes referred to as your 3-column ledgers. But the focus for us in FAC 1502 is just on the general ledger. Right. The next step in your accounting cycle, after you have completed your ledgers, you balance the ledgers at the end of the month, and you compile a trial balance. A trial balance is nothing else but a list of all the debits and all the credit, the ledger accounts. So after the ledgers has been completed for the entire month, you will balance the ledgers. You take those balances into what we call a trial balance. So a trial balance is nothing else but a list of all your accounts, and you need to indicate the balances, whether it is debit or credit. The reason why we prepare a trial balance is that we need to check whether our debits are equal to our credits, and therefore a trial balance is completed to check now the correctness of our entries. We also see whether the double entry system has been applied correctly, and your trial balance is also used as the basis for preparing financial statements, because in your trial balance, you will get information on your income and your expenses and all your assets, all your equity, and all your liabilities. After you have completed your trial balance now, the next step, which is step number 6 in your accounting cycle, this is when we do our financial statements now. Now, for FAC 1502, you must be able to do the first 3 financial statements. There are 4 financial statements that we do get, but the other one is only when we are going to do the course FAC 1601, which is the cash flow statement. But in FAC 1502, there's only 3 financial statements that you must know and know how to complete it. Absolutely important. This is a major percentage of your exam is going to come from your financial statements. The first financial statement is called the statement of profit or loss and other comprehensive income. This is a statement that is drawn up to calculate what is the profit or the loss for the year. So in this statement, we list all the income, all the expenses, and the difference between the income and the expenses will then either be the profit or the loss. The second financial statement is called the statement of financial position. The statement of financial position is where you will list your assets, all your equity, and the value of your liabilities. And in the end, in your statement of financial position, you must prove that assets is equal to equity plus liabilities. The third financial statement that we do get is called the statement of changes in equity. In this statement of changes in equity, you need to show how the equity has increased since the beginning of the year up until the end of the year. So in your statement of changes in equity, there we just show the value of equity at the beginning of the year and what is the value of equity at the end of the year. Step 7 deals with the interpretation of your financial statements. Here we do certain calculations and ratios to see what is the trend of the business. And that information you will give over now to the owners or your supervisors, your managers, and they will take all of that into consideration when they make certain decisions about the business, whether it is still viable to continue with the business, whether they must downsize, whether they must expand, or whatever they must do. But remember now, for FAC 1502, we are only working up until step number 6. So the only things that we focus on in FAC 1502 as far as our accounting cycle is concerned is that you must be able to take transactions, you must know the documents that is associated with that transactions. Step number 3, you take the documents to complete your journals. From your journals, you do your ledgers, then your trial balance, and thereafter you do your financial statements. So students, that is the accounting cycle and the steps that you will follow if you are employed as an accountant, and it will give you an indication also on how to do your job up until the financial statements. We are turning our attentions now, if there are no other questions, just while I am still on here, when I'm still here, guys, just please remember to complete your register. And then also at the end of the session, we will appreciate it if you can just complete the feedback. Claudine is going to post the links again to you guys, but I'm sure you've got the links already. So the feedback session is very important because we need to see how we can improve our sessions so that it is more beneficial to all the students. No questions on this side at this stage, guys? Right, we're moving on to our notes now. Right. In this session, we are going to, first of all, recap a little bit on what we've done under lecture number 2 and what we've covered under lecture number 2 or lecture number 1. Remember, we had such a lot of things to get through, and I didn't come to the perpetual inventory system. We had a discussion on it last week, but last week there was just too many gremlins. So let me just quickly repeat that again, and we go over to the a continuation of lecture number 1. I just want to highlight a few things as far as the basic accounting equation is concerned, and whenever we are using the perpetual inventory system. Now, when we speak about the inventory systems or the stock systems, a business can either employ a perpetual inventory system or a periodic inventory system. So when you get a question and they ask you to analyze transactions, you are either going to work, the question will tell you whether you are working with a perpetual system or the periodic inventory system. The big difference is the difference between the two systems is that in a perpetual inventory system, when you buy stock, you call it inventory. So in a perpetual system, when you buy stock, you call it inventory, as opposed to a periodic inventory system, where when you buy stock, you call it purchases. That's the big difference between the purchases of stock. So depending on which stock system you are using, you will either classify the account as, or call the account, identify the account as inventory or as purchases. Now, inventory is classified as an asset, whereas purchases is classified as an expense. So if you buy stock and your business apply the perpetual inventory system, you are buying stock, you call it inventory, and inventory is an asset. If the question wants you to do the analysis according to the periodic inventory system, when you buy stock, you call that purchases, and purchases is classified as an expense. The next big difference that you must focus on comes in with the sale of merchandise. Important to note that in a perpetual inventory system, we've got a fixed markup. We call that a fixed markup, and we are selling all our inventory at a fixed markup. Perhaps we put a 50% or a 60% markup profit on the items that we are buying. So in a perpetual system, you know exactly what is the cost of sales. So in a perpetual system, if you sell items, you will record it as sales and either trade receivables or bank. Trade receivables if you are selling it on credit, or bank if you are selling it for cash. But in a perpetual system, you also bring into account the impact of the cost of sales. And the impact on the cost of sales is that whenever you are selling merchandise, your inventory will decrease. That is why we credit our inventory account. And we will also have the situation whereby your cost of sales must be debited. In the periodic inventory system, where we don't know the value of our stock because we don't work with a fixed markup, you only record the sales. So the difference between the two systems, in a perpetual system, you must record the sale as well as the cost of sales. In a periodic system, you just record the sales there. Okay. Once again, guys, I have worked through all of that, and I have also posted the solution onto just go onto session 1, where you will get your notes and you will see the solution then of lecture 1 also there. Now we are into lecture number 2, guys. In lecture number 2, we are now going to focus for tonight on our subsidiary journals. I've given you the presentation now on the accounting cycle, and now we are going to take a look at the table that I referred to earlier, which is also in your notes under session number 1, lecture number 1, where you must now take a look at the relation between transactions and the journal and the documents. As pointed out earlier to you, you get lots and lots of different kinds of transactions. Those transactions must be recorded on documents, and we use the documents then to complete the journals. I'm still on page 1, and I'm giving you an activity over there. So in the activity, I just want you to read the transaction and then just indicate there in which journal you will record this transaction. So please work with me on this one. Let me just do the first one. The owner, F. Furious, deposit 125,000 in the banking account of the business as his capital contribution. That entry, because the business is receiving money, will be recorded in the cash receipts journal. So I just want you to indicate to me which journal you will use. Number 2, issue the check now to cater suppliers for the purchases of goods, 8,400 Rand. We are issuing a check, we are making a payment, and that transaction will be recorded in my cash payments journal. Okay, all right, guys, I'm giving you 5 minutes just to complete all the others. Has Robin got a question?
Excuse me, sir, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Sir, I would like to know, where do we access the notes that you're referring to?
Right. If you are in now, just go out to your files.
Okay, I'm just trying to navigate because I don't know, this semester I'm finding MS Teams a bit confusing as compared to first semester.
Okay. So if you log on and you go onto
files for this chat.
That is correct.
Okay.
Okay.
It says I can't see it. There's no files here.
Okay. If you go onto MS Teams on the left hand side.
On the left, which icon?
There's an icon called Files. Do you see anything there?
On the top left, next to the name FAC1502. That files
Yes.
tab.
Yeah. Okay. You see.
Mm-hmm.
Do you see something? An icon called Files?
Yes, it's next to the chat icon or tab. It's not an icon, it's more of a tab.
Yeah. Okay. Can you click on there?
I've done that, and
Okay,
there's
and
nothing. Empty.
Is it empty?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. What I will do is, right. I will just ask somebody just to, because some of the students last week, what they've done is that somebody has posted something now. I don't know who's DP.
Okay, I'm just checking that. Yes.
Doris.
But I remember last semester we accessed the notes via the chat or via the team on MS Teams. So is it being done differently this semester?
Yeah, I think it is differently, but you must just, there is an icon called Files, and then you can just log onto there, and you will get the all the notes, everything you will get there.
Okay, but if I click on Files, there's nothing here though. It's chat, files, and whiteboard on the top.
Yes.
If I click on Files, nothing. There's
Okay.
nothing. It's share files in this chat. But I know there's no files to view.
Okay. Can you just send me an email address quickly, ma'am?
In the chat?
Yeah, in the chat.
Okay, I'll do so now.
May I also please ask for the notes, because I've followed the link to the Western Cape support thing as well, and I can't find anything.
Okay.
Hi there, good evening. I actually found it. If you go on the Western Cape link.
Yes, yes. Okay, you can continue, Hayden.
Yeah, just trying to explain it. So,
I see what you mean via the Western Cape link. Sir, can I ask you, I just find it not only with this module, with other modules as well. I don't know if it's not, I see it, yes, but I don't know if it's possible if you could post the notes like we did previously, because I think it's much easier for all the students if the notes is posted like it was in the first semester on the files thing tab here on MS Teams instead of via my UNISA first and then actually it's like just so much longer to get to the actual note.
Okay.
Ursula, Hi, Ursula. If you go to the event scheduler, then there's 4 tabs there. And one of it is notes. And you just get it there. You don't have to go the long way.
Where is the events?
Like when you go to the event scheduler, the Western Cape event scheduler. I want to take up of your teaching time now for this. But we can sort it out afterwards. You can write to CT and TAT. I think they even have a roadmap example of to show you how to do it with little drawings. But you just go to the event scheduler on the Western Cape platform. I pasted it here in the chat. It says, if you have not done so, please join the Western Cape region My Module site. If you scroll up, I'll paste it again now.
Okay, I did get it.
And then you can just go where you in the class. There's a thing, notes, and you actually open all the notes. Huh? But let Mr. Lesh go on first now, but we'll sort it out. It's actually it's there, it's very easy.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Right, okay, students, let us just get going here. I have also indicated now, just go to the chat now. I have indicated a email address, FAC1502s12020@gmail.com. If you can't get the notes, then I can still email you the notes then, okay, if you are still struggling to get that. Right, but unfortunately, we need to get going. So I assume that you have completed this now already. Let us just take a look at the solution of the activity that we've got now. The next one, number 3, we are paying Eskom. That is a payment. And because it's a payment, it must go into my cash payments journal. Your next transaction, cash sales of merchandise. That will be recorded in your cash receipts journal because the business is receiving money. The next transaction, number 5, sold merchandise on credit. We are selling on credit, and that will go into your sales journal. Number 6, we are buying merchandise on credit. And when we buy merchandise on credit, this will go into my purchases journal. Number 7, cash the check for wages. Cash a check for wages. We will record that in the cash payments journal. Number 8, we are returning damaged merchandise to Willow Traders. So we are sending stuff back to the supplier that we were not happy with, and that we record in the purchases return journal. Number 9, we are buying equipment on credit. Make sure that you've got this one right. We're buying equipment on credit, and that we record in the general journal. Just on that one, students, just make sure that you've got that one right. It is a credit purchases, but remember, we do not use the purchases journal when we buy equipment or anything else on credit. The only time that we are using the purchases journal is when we buy stock, merchandise, or goods on credit. So students like to record that kind of transaction in the purchases journal. But remember that the purchases journal is only for stock. Now your transactions state clearly here that you are buying equipment. This is not something that you're going to sell again. You are going to use that, and therefore that transaction will be recorded then in the general journal. We continue now. I've got a transaction now whereby the P. Williams is returning goods that we supplied incorrectly to him. That will be recorded in the sales return journal. On number 11, we issued a check now. That goes in my cash payments journal. Number 12, we are selling merchandise on credit. So when we sell merchandise on credit, that goes into your sales journal. 13, we are buying stationery on credit. Once again, this goes in your general journal. Many students like to put that in the purchases journal, but remember, we are not dealing with stationery. We are buying stationery for our own consumption. Purchases journal is only for stock. I'm on to number 14. We are making a payment to SJ suppliers. We are making a payment, cash payments journal. Number 15, now we are buying merchandise on credit, and when we buy stock on credit, this goes into your purchases journal. Number 16, A-Bird return damaged merchandise. This is a customer that is now sending stuff back to us that we record in our sales return journal. Number 17, issued a check to PP suppliers is a payment, and that goes in my cash payments journal. Number 18, return incorrect merchandise to SS stores. We are sending stuff back to the supplier, and that will be recorded in the purchases return journal. Purchases return journal, because we are sending stuff back to the supplier. Number 19, P. Williams paid 450 Rand on account. One of our customers is paying us now on his account. We are receiving the money, cash receipts journal. Number 20, the owner is taking cash for private use. The business is going to pay him that money, and that is why we record that in our cash payments journal. On the 21st, or number 21, we are receiving money from a tenant, and we record that in the cash receipts journal. Number 22, we bought office chairs and tables on credit. So we are buying equipment once again on credit, and this goes in the general journal, not the purchases journal. And the last one, we are issuing a check to Willow Traders. And when we issue a check to Willow Traders, this goes in my cash payments journal, because that will represent a payment. Right. Any queries on that, students? The whole purpose of that activity was just to see whether you can read the transaction and know in which journal it must be recorded. Any questions on that? If not, we are continuing with our notes. And now we are going to go into an activity where we must now record the transactions into the various subsidiary journals. So I'm giving you an activity, and let us first of all just talk about this activity here. The following information relates to Standard & Traders. They give you a trial balance, and this trial balance is dated the 31st of October 2019. So on the 31st of October 2019, this was the situation in the books of the business. We had capital of 50,760. All our equipment together was 6,200. The money in the bank was 17,000. We've got inventory of 28,072. Our trade receivables amounted to 13,900, and our trade payables amounted to 31,700, and so on it goes. That is a list of what has happened now in the books prior to the 31st of October. Now we have got a set of transactions which happened now for the month of November. We've got all the various transactions that has happened there. We issued a check, we received a check, we paid ABC suppliers, all of that, those are the transactions that happened in the month of November. And we go to our required now, and under our required, they ask you now to complete all these transactions and record them in the various subsidiary journals. In the cash receipts journal, the cash payments journal, the purchases journal, the sales journal, sales return journal, and the purchases return journal. So we are now going to take the transactions and we are going to record them into the various journals. I have also posted for you guys the worksheets for this activity. So I am now going to work from your transactions and I am going to record the items now into the various subsidiary journals. And I am going to switch now to under my notes. There was also under the notes, there was also something that referred to the worksheets that we are going to use. Just a reminder for the students that is still struggling now to get the notes. I have posted an email address where you can just send me your email address and then I will send the notes through to you. But there are also various other ways in which you can get the notes, as Claudine has explained to you and as other students has played to you. If you just play around with that, you will be able to get the notes. Right. But also, if you haven't got the notes now, you can still download the notes and watch the recording, and that will give you a better understanding then if you have then the notes. Not if you haven't got it now, get the notes and then you can just watch the recording. Remember, the recording will only be available after it has been edited, so you can only get that perhaps by Tuesday or Wednesday. The recording of this session will be available. I am moving over now to the worksheets, where in the worksheets, I've got a copy of the cash receipts journal and the cash payments journal, as well as the purchases, sales, and the sales return journal is there. I am working from my transactions, and my first transaction is on the 1st. We issued a check to pay the rent to ad agencies, and we are issuing a check now for the amount of 2,000 Rand. The business is paying out money, and because it's a payment, we will record this now in our cash payments journal. So we go to our cash payments journal under your details, indicate who you are paying. We are paying ad agencies. We are making a payment here for the amount of 2,000 Rand. Now, once again, guys, the two accounts that is associated with this transaction is the bank account, because it's a payment, and the other account is your account called rent expense. So bank account is affected. So in the bank account, you indicate the 2,000 for the payment. The other account affected is your rent expense account. You haven't got a column for rent expense. Remember now, you've only got a column for purchases, trade receivables, settlement discount received. If you haven't got a column then for the particular account that you are dealing with, then you record the amount under sundries. So sundries would be 2,000. And if you write in sundries, then you must have an explanation of the account under details, and your details will then be, in this case, rent expense. So we are dealing with the bank account, 2,000 Rand in the bank. The other account involved is rent expense. We haven't got a column for rent expense. That is why the amount is recorded under sundries. And your detail of sundry account will then be rent expense. I'm moving on to the next transaction on the second. Transaction on the second. Received a check now from M. Meyer. We are receiving a check. We are receiving money. That transaction we will record in the cash receipts journal. So go to your cash receipts journal now. Under your details, you have received this money from M. Meyer. And M. Meyer is paying us the amount of 4,250. So in your bank column, you're going to put the 4,250. M. Meyer is a trade receivable, one of our clients who's paying us now. And just go back now to the question, and you will see then on the question that M. Meyer is owing us 4,500 Rand. Go back to the question. Under the list of debtors, under the list of trade receivables, you will see there is a guy, M. Meyer. Now our transaction indicates that he is paying 4,250 in full settlement of his account. He's paying his account now, and his account, go to your trade receivables, his account is actually 4,500 Rand. And it means that we are giving him a discount then of 200 Rand. So just make sure that you are on that one, guys. What has happened is the following. We are receiving the amount of 4,250 from a customer, but he is paying his debt. He's going to settle his debt, and his debt is 4,500 Rand. And that indicates that there is a discount. He's only paying 4,250 to settle an account of 4,500 Rand. We are giving him a discount. So in your column 4, settlement discount received, settlement discount granted or settlement discount allowed, it's the same thing. Settlement discount granted or settlement discount allowed, you will indicate the 250 Rand there. And remember, for all amounts, you must indicate the amount in brackets. Any query, guys, on that one? Also, please note those people that is struggling with the notes there. If you go to the chat, Claudine has given you guys a link for the notes. So it should not be a problem now. Any queries on the transaction on the second? I'm giving you another 5 minutes, guys, to take the transactions and see if you can complete the transactions from the third onto the 5th again. The 3rd, we are paying ABC suppliers. On the 4th, we are purchasing goods on credit. And on number 5, we are paying Spoornet 650 Rand. Okay, let me just give you that opportunity just to record those transactions there in your journals then. Okay, people, let us get going again. Let me just put up the next set of transactions. I am on the transaction on the 3rd. The transaction reads pay ABC suppliers, and we are paying them 11,750 in full settlement of the account of the amount owing. So it's a payment. So back into my cash payments journal. In my cash payments journal, I will have ABC suppliers. In your bank, we are making a payment of 11,750. We are paying a trade payable. We are paying our debt. And if you go to ABC suppliers, then you will see that we are owing them 12,500 Rand. Your trade payables will decrease by 12,500. So under your trade payables, you will write there 12,500 Rand. And we are only paying 11,750 to settle an account of 12,500, which will indicate that there is discount of 750 Rand. Once again, settlement discount received, you indicate that amount in brackets. The reason why it's indicated in brackets is that you need to understand that the 12,500 minus the 750 is giving you the amount in the bank of 11,750. So just for cross-casting over there, the 11,750 in the bank is equal to 12,500 minus the 750. In your trade payables, you record 12,500 because we first decrease the trade payables with the actual payment, the 11,750, and then we decrease that amount further with the discount. So in total, the debt of 12,500 is settled. I'm on to the transaction on the 3rd. Transaction on the 3rd. I've just completed that one. On the 4th, purchase goods on credit. We are buying goods on credit. That entry will go to your purchases journal because you are buying stock on credit. So if you are buying any goods on credit, we record that in the purchases journal. So in the purchases journal, you will indicate there ABC suppliers. When you buy goods on credit, the two accounts affected are purchases and trade payables. And the value of the stock that you purchased there is 6,300 Rand. And your trade payables will also increase by 6,300. So if you want to apply the accounting principle here, or the basic accounting equation, the account debited here would be the purchases account, and the account credited is your trade payables. Those are the two accounts affected by that transaction. I'm on to the 5th of the month now. On the 5th, we are paying Spoornet. This is a payment. And because this is a payment, we will record this transaction in my cash payments journal. go to your cash payments journal. Under your details, you are paying Spoornet. The two accounts involved, the bank account, because it's a payment, that is why in your bank account you're going to write 650. The other account involved here, whenever we are having the expense to transport stock to us. Now remember now, whenever you are buying stock, and this is the periodic inventory system, we call this account purchases. But if we must pay out money to transport the stuff to our store, like in this instance, the railage on the goods received, that account is called carriage on purchases. The account is called carriage on purchases. So in your sundry accounts, you will record the 650 Rand, and your detail of sundry account will be carriage on purchases. Right. I'm moving on to my next transaction. On the 6th, cash sales of merchandise. In your cash receipts journal, because you are receiving money, you will record sales, the amount of the sales. Now, when we are speaking about cash sales, the two accounts involved is the bank and the sales account. So I will have 6,400 Rand in the bank and 6,400 Rand in the sales, because those are the two accounts affected, bank and sales. I'm moving on to my transaction on the 8th. Transaction on the 8th, sold goods on credit. We are selling stock on credit. That transaction will be recorded in my sales journal. So in your sales journal, you will record the transaction. The accounts affected will be the sales account and trade receivables. So we will record it there in Nathan. The sales amount is 1,200 Rand. Trade receivables will be affected 1,200 Rand. Any queries so far, guys? Are we doing okay so far? Right, see if you can handle the next few transactions now, the 9th, the 10th, and the 12th. See if you can handle that before I give you then the solutions on that one. But guys, we are back onto the transactions now. I'm onto your transaction on the 9th. Have a look at the transaction on the 9th. And on the 9th, we are paying XX Couriers. We are paying them 210 Rand for the freight on the goods delivered to in Nathan. And Standard & Traders bear the cost of the delivery. Now, just to clarify that to you guys, our business is called Standard & Traders. We are paying now for the transport of the items then to our customer. It is our expense. It's the business expense. That expense is called carriage on sales. It is the same like if you order a pizza from Mr. Delivery or whatever, as you guys may know, if you order a pizza from Debonair's and you stay within a certain radius, then your pizza gets delivered to you free of charge. But the business will incur expenses in delivering that pizza to you. That expense for the business is called carriage on sales. So this is the example whereby if you refer back to the transaction now, we are paying somebody else to deliver the stock now to our customer. This account is identified as the account carriage on sales. So let us record this transaction now in our cash payments journal because this is a payment that we are making now. So in your payment now, in your cash payments journal, you are going to have XX Couriers, which is the people that we are paying. The bank, we are paying the amount of 210 Rand. Sundry account 210, and your detail of sundry account is called carriage on sales. Not to be confused with carriage on purchases. Carriage on purchases is whenever we are buying stock and we must pay for the transport costs. Now we are selling stock and we, the business, must pay for those transport expenses. And that is why that account is called carriage on sales now. I just want to get to Cameron here. So we get carriage on sales as well as carriage on purchases. Okay. I think we've answered that one, Cameron. You can just give a thumbs up there, then we know that everything is fine. So when you read the transaction, in this case now, there's a difference between carriage on purchases and carriage on sales. Okay. Thank you there, Cameron. All good. We continue with our next transaction. In Nathan, return damaged goods. So now we've got a customer that is not happy with stock that he bought and he's sending it back to us into the sales return journal. We will record that transaction now in the sales return journal. So in your sales return journal, we are going to have in Nathan, customer that is returning stock. The sales returns is the amount of 60 Rand and your trade receivables will decrease by 60 Rand. The two accounts affected are sales returns and trade receivables. I'm on to my next page. On the 12th now, we are receiving 2,500 Rand on account from NL. We are receiving money. So in my cash receipts journal, I will indicate now that I have got the account of NL and we are receiving 2,500 Rand and he is a customer who's paying his account, so that will fall under your trade receivables. The two accounts affected will be bank and trade receivables. 2,500 under bank, 2,500 under trade receivables. I'm on to my next transaction. Sold goods on credit to NL. We are selling stock on credit. That will be recorded in my sales journal. Go to your sales journal. And we are selling to our customer NL. And we are selling on credit to him goods to the amount of 1,250. Sales are affected, and the other account affected is trade receivables, and we will record that into the sales journal. Winston has got a question here. Shouldn't the 60 Rand be shown as a minus under trade receivables? No, the 60 Rand, I think you are referring to the return of the goods, that is when Nathan returned damaged goods. No, it is not indicated in brackets. It's not a minus, because the two accounts affected will be your trade receivables as well as sales returns. Sales returns as a whole is a minus under your sales, but that is only when we do our financial statements. At this point in time, we must just record the total amount of the trade receivables and the total amount of your sales returns. Okay. Right, Lucas Ursula's also sorted out. Guys, the link has been posted there. So if you're still having problems then with the notes, please sort it out then tonight, because we've got another class for tomorrow. So it will just be in your best interest if you get the notes. It is just far more easier for you to follow. Right. We are on the transaction now on the 17th. I'm just going to give you an opportunity to do some of those transactions now. See if you can handle the transactions again from the 17th to the 24th on your own, because as you guys may know, we want to keep the lectures as interactive as possible. So we first want you to see how you're going to handle that, and then I will give you the correct answer, and I will then also entertain questions on that. So see if you can handle the transactions now, guys, from the 17th up until the 24th, the next 3 transactions. Right, guys, let us get back to the solution there. I'm busy with the transaction on the 17th. We paid the amount due to office suppliers less a 5% discount. This is a payment. And because we're making a payment, we record this now in our cash payments journal. So in your cash payments journal, you are paying office suppliers and you are paying them the amount due less a 5% discount. So go to the top of the question where they will tell you the balances and how much do you owe ABC suppliers. I'm sorry, office suppliers. If you go to your list of creditors, your list of your suppliers, just under the trial balance, you will see that you are paying, that you are owing office suppliers the amount of 1,200 Rand. So you are paying that account now. So under your trade payables, your trade payables is going to decrease by 1,200 Rand. So you put 1,200 Rand under your trade payables. Your discount, the 5% discount is an amount of 60 Rand. So under your discount, you will indicate the amount of 60 Rand. But once again, discount, you always put in brackets. So the discount is the amount of 60 Rand. And under your bank, you must have 1,140 because you are only paying 1,140 to settle the account of 1,200 Rand, indicating a discount of 60 Rand. We are continuing with our transactions. I'm on the 20th now. Sold goods on credit to Meyer. We are selling on credit, and that is why we record that now in our sales journal. So in your sales journal, M. Meyer, and we are selling goods to him for the amount of 1,400. Your sales increase by 1,400 and your trade receivables increase by 1,400. The accounts affected are sales and trade receivables. Next transaction on the 23rd, we've got cash sales of merchandise. It's a cash transaction. The business is receiving money. In your cash receipts journal, under your details, you are going to write sales. The two accounts affected here will be bank and sales. So in your bank column, 3,400, and in your sales column, 3,400 Rand. Bank and sales. My next transaction is on the 24th. Purchase goods on credit. We are buying stock on credit. And if you are buying stock on credit, we will record this now in the purchases journal because the purchases journal is the journal that is used whenever we are buying inventory on credit. Under your details, the supplier is XX Traders. The two accounts affected are purchases and trade payables. So your purchases is the amount of 1,950. And your trade payables is the amount of 1,950. Two accounts affected, purchases and trade payables. Next transaction on the 25th, pay cash for goods. This is a payment. Therefore, in my cash payments journal, under my details, I will indicate that I am paying Ackermans. I'm buying goods and I pay for it. The two accounts affected will be the bank, 2,900 Rand, and my purchases is the amount of 2,900. So the two accounts affected there will be the bank as well as my purchases. I'm buying stock and I'm paying for that. Just please note, guys, that on that particular transaction, sometimes the wording changes. So the transaction can refer to buying inventory, buying goods, buying merchandise, buying trading inventory. All of those words can be used, but it just means that you are buying stock that you are going to resell again. And because we work with a periodic inventory system here, that will resort under the account called purchases. The last one on the 30th, we are issuing a check for wages, 2,500. Under your details, you write cash. The amount is 2,500 in the bank, 2,500 under your sundry account, and your detail of sundry account will be the account wages. Two accounts affected are bank and wages. Students, that will conclude all our transactions that we have now recorded in the various subsidiary journals. And that was the purpose of tonight's lecture. So in tonight's lecture, I've taken you through what we call the accounting cycle. So in our accounting cycle, remember, in that presentation, I told you that there are 8 steps in your accounting cycle. For FAC1502, we are only focusing on the first 6 steps. Transactions must be recorded on documents. Documents you group together and you complete the subsidiary journals. Then you post to the ledger, draw up a trial balance, and you must do your financial statements. So what we have done now with this activity is that we've gone through the first 3 steps in the accounting cycle. We've taken out transactions, we have identified the documents that is involved there, and we have used that now to complete and record the transactions in our notes. What you must do now is that you must now just add up the totals of those subsidiary journals. And I will post you the solution then of that particular activity on there. Let me just quickly see if I have answered all the questions that is here. Cameron, once again, the brackets we only use in settlement discount received and settlement discount received and settlement discount granted. Settlement discount granted in the cash receipts journal and in the cash payments journal, settlement discount received. Those are the only times that we are going to have our brackets that we use the brackets, right? I think I've answered all the questions that has come through, right? Just a reminder that we are still having our session of tomorrow, right? We hope everything will go well there. Please, there was a lot of you people that has asked for the notes. Please make sure that you can access the notes then during the course of the evening. Go back to the chats. Thank you once again there for Claudine. Claudine has posted all of these, the links she has posted there. The only thing that's left for me, guys, is please complete just the feedback form so that we can sort out any other problems. And some of you has indicated that you can't see the notes or whatever. Those are items or things that is of a technical nature, and I will not be able to assist you with that. Just email CT and TAT, and then they will perhaps be able to assist you. But in most cases, guys, if you can't see me or you can't access the notes, please make a plan. I think it's more the problem is on your side, perhaps your camera, or you can't hear me so well, then there's something wrong with your mic. Right, guys, that's the end of my session.
Excuse me.
Okay, I've got Maiden. Yes, shoot.
I just wanted to ask the slideshows in the beginning, in the very beginning of the lecture and the presentation. Will that be available to us also on the website?
It is under your notes, eh?
It's also part of the notes.
If you go to your notes and you go to session 2, there is, you will get the following links there. There's a PowerPoint presentation, there's notes, there's worksheets, and now I'm going to post the solution of session 2 on there. So there will be 4 things on there. All okay, Baden?
Yes, thank you so much, sir.
Okay. Right. Right, that's the end of my session then for today, guys. Enjoy the rest of the evening, and please be prepared then for tomorrow. If you are well prepared and you've got your stuff and we're going to work on it, the session will be quite beneficial to you. Okay, good evening.
Thank you, sir. Bye.
Okay, bye.
Thank you very much. Have a pleasant evening. Bye.
You too.